It is good to be with you once again, brothers and sisters. Good to be with you. Reading the Bible. Reading the book that is going to save our lives. Through Christ, of course. Now, again, we're at John 1 and 10. But before we go into the chapters and the verses, I want to go back into cult. Now, my last podcast episode was those without proof of the text are cult. I showed you, brothers and sisters, in that podcast episode that Christians don't have the support of the text. They make up things. Like, watch this. A system of religious veneration and devotion directed toward a particular figure. That figure can be a man or an object. Devotion toward the figure or the object. But let's look down. A relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. This is where we're going to stay. This last definition at the bottom of the page. Now I'm going to read that again, and we're going to go back. A relatively small group of people, and you're going to find out that, see, what you have to realize, brothers and sisters, is Christianity is built off a vision. And if you believe that vision without the chapters and the verses, then it is what it is. But then there's another thing that Christianity does. They give you a definition. You believe it, you believe it. Like, let's read it again. A relatively small group of people. That's what they want you to believe. No, cults are big. Cults are huge. As I said, Islam is a cult. Hinduism is a cult. Christianity is a cult. We're not just calling these things cults. We're calling cults anything that is aside the Bible. If it's not the Bible, it's a cult. 8 times the Sabbath is in Acts, but they don't keep it. But they, let's go to Acts 20. Oh, skip the 8 times for one you can turn. Come on now. A relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. Others. We're going to look at these others. Now we want to go back up. It says this. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. The world knew him not. The world knew him not. You know, it continues to say the world. Well, what does that mean, the world? When you think of that, brothers and sisters, the world knew him not. What is it talking about? And see, this is the cult. This is the cult. Matthew 15. Because I'm going to put these things together. Matthew 15 and verse 24. Matthew 15, verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Christianity reads this verse and will not accept it. That's cultish. I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. That's who I was sent to. Even, watch this, Galatians 4. And before we do that, let me just do 1 Corinthians 9 because I want to show you. 1 Corinthians 9. You want to talk about what cults do? I'm going to show you what they do. First Corinthians 9:20. And unto the Jews I became as a Jew, that I might gain the Jews. To them that are under the law as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law. This verse right here, brothers and sisters, lets you know who was under the law. Now, all Israel was under the law, but at this time, Paul was addressing mostly Jews. All Israel was under the law, but he's addressing the Jews in Corinth. He's telling you who he's going among. And unto the Jews, not the nations. Unto the Jews, not the nations. I became as a Jew, that I might gain the Jews. To them that are under the law as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law. So who is under the law? The Jews. And you will not find a verse that says different. Brothers and sisters, you will not find a verse that says all nations or people was under the law. They weren't. And see, when you see verses like that, when you go to Galatians 4, let me show you Galatians 4. Galatians 4, verse 4. Watch this. Galatians 4:4. But when the fullness of time was come, God sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law. Wait a minute. Look at this now. It's an operative word in this verse I want you to see. But when the fullness of time was come, God sent. S-E-N-T. God sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law. The Father sent the Son to redeem them that were under the law. The Son was sent to redeem them that were under the law. Who was under the law? See, according to Matthew 15:24 and Galatians chapter 4, verse 4 and 5, God sent his Son to Israel, those that were under the law. He sent his Son for his people. God sent his Son, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law. The only nation that was under the law was who you read in 1 Corinthians 9:20. So the Bible says God sent his Son, as you can read, for Israel. See, when God sent his Son unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel, he sent his Son to redeem them. Don't just think when he sent his Son to the lost sheep, we're telling you what he was sent to do for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. We're showing you what he was sent to do. So he was sent. God sent forth his Son, made of a woman. Let me read it. But when the fullness of time was come, God sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law. God sent his Son to redeem them that were under the law, and you read that was the Jews. But we know all Israel was. So when God sent his Son to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, he sent them to be redeemed by his Son. And also, let's see what else. Look at this. Look. The book of Acts, chapter 3. Acts chapter 3, verse 24. It says, yea, all the prophets from Samuel and those that follow after, as many as have spoken, have likewise foretold of these days. Ye are the children of the prophets, and of the covenant which God made with our fathers, saying unto Abraham, and in thy seed shall all the kindreds of the earth be blessed. Look at this. Unto you first, God. Wait a minute. Who is the first? Unto you first, the children of the prophets. The children of the prophets are Israelites. The children of the prophets are Israelites. Look, unto you first, God, having raised up his son, sent him to bless you, and turning away every one of you from your iniquity. So when God sent, let's go back. We're gonna do this right here. That's Matthew 15. Matthew 15. See, we're going to tell you what he sent them to do for Israel. When you read Matthew 15:24, when it says, but he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But wait a minute. Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread. The children's bread we're about to read. The children's bread we are about to read. The children's bread. And cast it to the dogs. Dogs. Now, as we said before, brothers and sisters, we got to pay attention to these verses. I went over this once before, who this woman may be. But pay attention. But he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread. What was the children's bread? Now, look at this. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Lost sheep of the house of Israel. All right. So now let's look at this. Let's look at this bread, because he was only sent for the lost sheep. See, but he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread. Bread. Let's take a look at this bread, because he was only sent for Israel. Let's back to Acts. Acts chapter 3. Verse 25, we'll start here. Ye are the children of the prophets, and the covenant which God made with our fathers, saying unto Abraham, and in thy seed shall all the kindreds of the earth be blessed. Now, let's go on down. I'm not going to put too much on you today. Unto you first, the you first is the children of the prophets, which were Israelites. Unto you first. God, having raised up his son, the Messiah, sent him to bless you, the children of the prophets, and turning away every one of you from his iniquities. So he was sent to bless his people and turning them away from their iniquities. That's what he was sent to do. This is the bread Christ was sent with, to forgive his people. You first will be the Jew first. You're going to be the first. God sent him to bless you, the Jews. That's the first. And the turning every one of you from your iniquities. God sent Christ to bless his people and turning them away from their iniquities first. Sent. That's why when we go back to, and I want to go to Acts 10. Acts 10. Acts 10. Now we're going to do this real quick. Acts 10:33. It says, immediately therefore I sent to thee, and thou hast well done that thou art come. Now therefore are we all here present before God to hear all things that are commanded thee of God. Commanded. So we want to hear from you what is commanded from God, from us to think, to do, to read, to understand. What is commanded of God? Now watch Peter. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth I perceive that God is no respecter of persons. Now when they say that, man, he's no respecter of the nations, the respecter of the, but that's not what that's saying. When it says no respecter of persons, that was a law. God is no respecter of persons like you may be. That's why when it's, watch this. This is I don't know where they come up. Whoever, I forget, the Latter-day Saints, God's no respecter of person. Man, that ain't even what that's talking about. Let's go back. I'm trying to see. Look at Proverbs chapter 28. Verse 21. To have respect of persons is not good. See, respect of persons for a piece of bread that a man will transgress. So if you have respect of persons, you will transgress the law. You are a transgressor of the law. See, there was a law that God had not to respect persons. That's why it says, you're reading it right along. I decided to go this route. Let's see, Proverbs 24:23, I'm thinking. Proverbs 24:23. Here it is. These things also belong to the wise. It is not good to have respect of persons in judgment. That is what Peter was saying. Like you guys respect persons, God is not a respecter of persons. That was a law not to have respect of persons. That's why James said in James 2:9, well, these Christians, I keep telling you, only a cult would do the things that you see before you and making up things. Cult. That's why James said, James 2:9. But if ye have respect to persons, because it was a law, ye commit sin. If you respect persons, you commit sin, and are convinced of the law as a transgressor, because there was a law that God had not to respect persons. But what the Christian did is they said, when it says in Acts, let's go back to Acts 10. Acts 10, verse 34. Then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth, I perceive that God is no respecter of persons, because God is no respecter of persons. Man is a respecter of persons, but not God. God, that's what that respecter of persons means. It doesn't mean God has, because when you look at he's no respecter of person, well, that doesn't make any sense. The prophets are not going to go against the Bible. The prophets are not going to go against the Bible. It is the cult Christianity that is going to go against the Bible. They're going to do that. We see this every time, brothers and sisters, how Christians flip the book. You're not going to tell us. You're not going to sit here and just, if you choose to be deceived, if you choose not to know nothing, then that is your choice. But they're going to have to read it to us. They're going to have to read it to us. Exodus 2:25. And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them. So he did respect persons. It's right here. He had respect for Israel. Respect for, not the nations. He had respect for Israel. Leviticus. What are you going to tell us? Leviticus chapter 26. Man, these Christians is something. And you're going to see how it fits. Now, again, we're not going to read all this. I just want to read this part here. This is the stipulation. If this is the stipulation to maintain the respect of God. This. If you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them. So if you walk in the statutes and keep the commandments and do them, now we're going to drop down because I don't want to read all the way down to verse 9. I want to start in verse 8. If you keep my commandments, you can read it on your leisure. One day we'll go into it deeper. But this Leviticus 26 is similar to Deuteronomy 28. It's the same as far as the curse. It was written in a different way in Leviticus 26. This is the first time it was mentioned. But I want to look at this. Leviticus 26:8. And 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight, if you keep the law, and your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. For your enemy, other nations, other people shall die by the edge of the sword. For I will have respect unto you. He didn't give a damn by other nations. It was you that got the respect. The heck with other nations. Your enemies are going to fall by the edge of the sword. Your enemies, which is the other nations, are going to fall by the sword. For I will have respect unto you and make you fruitful and multiply you and establish my covenant with you. Respect of persons. Sure, God has respect of persons. It's Israel. 2 Kings 13. Cults make up things. Cults. And Christianity is a cult. They want you to see our vision. I'm just reading this verse. 2 Kings 13:23. And the Lord was gracious unto them, and had compassion on them, and had respect unto them, because of his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He would not destroy them, neither cast them from his presence as yet. Not yet. But look at the respect. Respect unto them. Israel, God did have respect of persons. He respected Israel above the nations. But a cult, let's go back. Chapter and verse. Let's look at this. The book of Acts 10. Hold on now. Book of Acts 10. Well, let's just go. Can't frustrate me. Right? Then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth, I perceive that God is no respecter of persons. God is no respecter of persons. Right? But you just saw he respect persons. You just read with me that he respected Israel alone, not the nations. You just read that. So what is Peter talking about? It's Peter should have known these chapter and verses. Christ taught it. Christ taught them the scriptures, Luke 24:45. So he should know. What Peter is saying here is God is no respect of persons when it comes to judgment. That's why it says, but in every nation, he that feareth him, feareth him, feareth him, feareth him, and worketh righteousness is accepted of him. So what is worketh righteousness? What is that? Everyone that feareth him and worketh righteousness. You got to let them break this down. He's no respecter of persons to everyone that feareth him in every nation. It didn't say every nation. It says in every nation. So worketh righteousness. We already know what feareth him means. We don't have to. If I have to, well, I'll do it. I'll do it. When you fear God, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. For this is the whole duty of man. This is why men were created, to keep the law. That's the fear of the Lord. That's fear God. So you fear God by keeping the law. Now, what is this worketh righteousness? Let's look and see. Can we see that again in the Old Testament? Because Peter might be saying something in the book of Psalms. That's why I say, brothers and sisters, let's read this thing. Cults, they don't read the Bible. They just, Psalms 15:1. Now, out of the law, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? This is the future. He that walketh uprightly and worketh righteousness. Worketh righteousness and speaketh truth in his heart. So, he that walketh uprightly. So if I'm walking uprightly, let me see what does it mean to walk uprightly? Psalms 18. If I'm walking uprightly, how is that? Psalms 18:22. For all his judgments were before me, and I did not put away his law, statutes from me. I was also upright before him, and I kept myself from mine iniquity. Meaning, you're upright when you're not sinning. You're upright when you're not sinning. You're upright when you're not sinning. That's why it says in Psalms 119. Let me give you another. Look, Psalms 119. Let's look at this upright. I want to see this upright. What is the upright? Psalms 119, verse 7. I will praise thee. This is David, Psalms 119:7. I will praise thee with uprightness of heart. Uprightness of heart. When I shall have learned thy righteous judgments. So when you learn the law, you praise him with uprightness of heart. When you learn the law, you praise the law. The law, you will be praising him with uprightness of heart. So those that keep the law, the upright. Those that keep the law, the upright. Makes sense. A sinner isn't upright. So those that keep the law, the upright. So when I go, Psalms 15, verse 2. Let's go back up to verse 1. Lord, who shall abide in thy tabernacle? Who shall dwell in thy holy hill? He that walketh uprightly by the law and worketh righteousness. That's who's working the righteousness. Those that are walking uprightly, which are keeping the law. Y'all got to understand, worketh righteousness is in the law itself. Those that walk uprightly, which is by the law, and worketh righteousness, they're going to be the ones that worketh righteousness. Those that walk uprightly and speaketh the truth in his heart. It speaketh the truth. And speaketh the truth in his heart. So the truth will have to be in his heart. The truth. Speaketh the truth. I hear Christians, they came up with something. They say, well, Christ is the truth. John 14:6. I'm the way, the truth, the life. But then when we take them to Romans 2:20, oh, yeah, no, that we don't accept that. They don't accept it. That's a cult. Paul said in Romans 2:20, the truth was still in the law. See how they take verses out? They are the ones that take verses out of context. You got to read verse after verse after verse after verse. Not just a verse to make your point, because only cults do that. I don't just want to make a point. I want to go to their verses and read them too. Acts 10:34 through 36, or Acts 10:34-35, as the Church of Latter-day Saints would say, is, see, God is no. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Thy law is the truth. So, thou art near, O Lord, and all thy commandments are true. So the truth is the law. So when we go, wait a minute. You can't bump a verse out the way. See, these verses prove chain link. He that walketh uprightly is by the law, and worketh righteousness. So the law keepers are going to work righteousness, and speaketh the truth, which is the law also in his heart. Truth is another word or another understanding for the law. Walking uprightly is by the law. There's no other way. These things cannot be replaced. So if we go back to Acts 10. Acts 10. Verse 35. But in every nation he that feareth him and worketh righteousness. Worketh righteousness would be from those who keep law. That's why it says feareth him. To fear God is to keep his commandments, and worketh righteousness. I just took you another route. I said uprightly in Psalms 15:2, and feareth him is the same thing. Keeping the law. It's the same. And worketh righteousness. When you fear God and work righteousness from your fear, then you're accepted of him. But what's the strange? Watch this. The word which God sent, S-E-N-T, the bread, boy, to the children of Israel, preaching peace by the Messiah Christ. He is Lord of all. But in every nation, the word which God sent into the children of Israel. So God sent this word into the, see, they don't want to read this verse. They'll go Acts 10:34 and 35 and stop. A cult does that. Remember what a cult is. We're going to stay with the bottom. A relatively small group, large group, don't let them fool you, of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. It is strange, brothers and sisters, for them to read verses 34 and 35 and stop and not read verse 36. He continues. He continues. The word which God sent unto the children of Israel. He sent to the children of Israel because they were in every nation. They were scattered. That's why when it says, in every nation him that feareth him, the word which God sent unto the children of Israel, James 1:1. James 1:1. This is what James 1:1. James, a servant of God and of the Lord the Messiah Christ, to the 12 tribes which are the children of Israel, which were scattered abroad, greetings. The children of Israel were scattered abroad. Where do you think they were scattered abroad at? In every nation. So in every nation, he that feareth him were the Israelites in every nation that feareth him. This had nothing to do with other nations. But the point is, brothers, the point is, here's the point. I want to show you. Let's go back to Acts 10. We're showing you what God sent. He didn't send anything for everybody. He's verse 35 and 36. But in every nation, who's in every nation? Israel. He that feareth him keepeth his law and worketh righteousness is accepted with him. The word which God sent unto the children of Israel, because the children of Israel were scattered in every nation. That's why it says, but in every nation, not but every nation. Don't let them read it wrong. But anyway, sent. See what God sent unto his people? When Christ says, I have only been sent for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, Christ came with bread. The bread is what you read. He sent Christ to them to forgive their sins. Acts 3:26. He sent Christ to them to deliver the word. The word which God sent unto the children of Israel, sent the word unto them. Like it says in Psalms 107:20. The Lord sent forth a word unto Jacob. Come on now. Do we not? That's Psalms 1. Psalms. I'm going to get detail here today. Psalms 107:20. He sent his word and healed them and delivered them from their destructions. God sent his word into Israel, not into nations. Wait a minute, Isaiah, real quick. Let's just get these two precepts and go back. Isaiah 9. Let's get these two precepts and go back. Isaiah 9. Verse 8. The Lord has sent a word into Jacob, and it hath lighted upon Israel. See, the Lord sent the word unto Jacob. You see that twice in Scripture. When we go to Acts 10, it says the same thing, no matter how it's written. Acts 10. Acts 10. Verse 30, Acts 10. Verse 36, the word which God sent unto the children of Israel. See, it's still sent unto Israel. That's the bread, preaching peace by the Messiah Christ. He is Lord of all. The Bible never prophesies he's going to send his word into all Israel, whether they were scattered or not. That's why in Galatians 4:4, we're looking at the bread here. Galatians 4. Galatians 4, verse 4. But when the fullness of time was come, God sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law. The bread, that's the children's bread. The children's bread was forgiveness, the word, and the redemption. And it was not for dogs. It was not for dogs. But see, this is the delusion that they have. The delusion. Cults. It goes back to the bottom definition. A relatively, we won't, a relatively large group, we're not going to say small, large group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others, which are the true Hebrews, as strange or sinister. It's strange and it's sinister to blot out verses because of what you don't want to accept. Christ was sent for the lost sheep. The bread he was sent with was forgiveness, the word, and redemption. But a cult, it's strange. What they're talking about is strange. Oh, he did that for all. No, he was sent with the bread. And we read what the bread was. And this is the same thing that happens in John 1. John 1. Verse 10. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. Who is this world that knew him not? Who is this world that knew him not? Let's take a look at the world first. Let's take a look at the world. John 18 and 20. Now, Christians, explain this, please. Explain this, Christians. Explain this, cult. You cult members. John 18 and 20. The Messiah answered him, I spake openly to the world. He's going to tell you what the world was. No getting around it. I spake openly to the world. I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple, whether the Jews always resort. And in secret I have said nothing. So the world were the Jews. Interesting. The Bible proves the world are the Jews now. We can go right to Acts 11. Acts 11. Acts 11. Verse 28. And there stood up one of them named Agabus, and signified by the Spirit that there should be a great dearth throughout all the world. All the world. Now, we're going to show you that this all the world isn't the whole earth. We're showing you again that this world was Jerusalem. Like it said in John 18 and 20. Dearth throughout all the world, which came to pass in the days of Claudius Caesar. Watch this. Then the disciples, every man according to his ability. Wait a minute. If there was a dearth throughout all nations, the whole world, how did they have something to sin? If the whole world went through a dearth, which is a famine, how did these apostles have something to sin? You can't sin relief if all the earth is under a dearth. This lets you know. And the disciples, every man according to his ability, determined to send relief unto the brethren which were at Judea, because Judea was all the world. Just like Christ said in John 18 and 20. The understanding Christians have about the world is cult-like. It's strange. We're reading, they're avoiding. Now, they try to say, oh, well, you go into Isaiah 45. This is where we got you at, Christians. Isaiah 45:17. It says, but Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. You shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. So Israel was a world without end. He didn't say the other worlds. Look at this, Christians. Look at this, brothers and sisters. Israel was a world, which means other nations were also worlds. If Israel is their own world, that means other nations were also their own worlds. That's why it says, we're going to come back here. That's why it says in the book of Hebrews. The book of Hebrews chapter 1 and verse 2. Real quick, then we're going to go back. It says, hath in these last days spoken to us by his Son, whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom he also made the worlds with an S, meaning more than one. He's not talking about planets. He's talking about nations. Israel was a world, as other nations were worlds. This is what the Bible calls nations at times, worlds. And Israel was their own world. And see, the Christians, they think, watch this. Book of Isaiah. Gotta watch what they think. Gotta watch what they think. Isaiah 45 verse 17. But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed, nor confounded, world without end. So Israel was their own world. Israel was a world. And according to Ephesians, because Christians think there's no New Testament verse that supplies any understanding. The book of Ephesians 3 and 20. Now unto him that is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Unto him be glory in the church. The church is Israel, by Christ the Messiah, throughout all ages, world without end. Who is this world without end? Israel. Paul, the world without end still exists. That world without end was Israel, as you read in Isaiah 45:17. So we can understand that this world without end, which was Israel, was a world. But we confuse when we get to John 1 and 10. All of a sudden we're confused. Now the world is the nations. Look at this. He was in the world. What world was he in? Israel. And the world was made by him. And the world knew him not. What world knew him not? Now some Christians may say, well, it says all Israel knew him not. Again, that is what a cult does. We're going to show you who knew him not. We're going to show you who knew him not. The book of Acts, chapter 13. Let's just not fall for the reading of the verses and so cult-like thoughts appear. Let's go to what it says. The book of Acts 13:47. For they that dwell at Jerusalem and their rulers, because they knew him not. That's who knew him not. That's who knew him not, the rulers, nor yet the voices of the prophets, which are read every Sabbath day. Sabbath day, not first day, Sabbath day. They have fulfilled them in condemning him. Those that knew him not was the rulers. When he says it came into his own, let's go back. Watch this. These are who knew him not. See, it doesn't make sense to the Christian, but they have no answer. The book of John chapter 1. All they're doing is just reading. We're showing you who knew him not, the rulers. John 1 and 10. And he was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. The world knew him not. But you see, did the whole world know him not? No, that's not what it's saying. We showed you in Acts 13:27 who knew him not. But let's look at this. John 13 and 1. Now before the feast of the Passover, when the Messiah knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world was Rome, unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world. See, Christ had someone in the world. In the world. He loved. He loved them unto the end. The Bible didn't say he loves the nations. The Bible never said he loved anybody from any nation or any Gentile at this time. It says Christ loved the world, those that were in the world, which were in it. He loved his own which were in the world. What world? See, remember, it says this world would be whose world? Rome. Having loved his own which were in the world, Israel. He loved them until the end. It's two worlds in that verse. It's a this world and the world. Now, Christians may say, oh, well, we're going to go try to find a verse that says, explain this verse. You explain it. You do it. Why do we have to be parents to you? You go find a verse and then you can't explain the verse. That's sad. Brothers and sisters, I have like 20, 30 verses. I'll say 20, 25 verses with the word world in it and can show you. The context of it could be whatever you want. But we know there was worlds. There was this world and the world. And Israel was the world. He loved his own. His own is the same his own in John 1. Even though he came his own received them not. No. He still loved his own, which were in the world. His own. He still loved his own. The Bible did not say when Christ went to the cross, he loved all nations, or anybody from any nation that believes. He loved his own. Christians, get with this. They'll never read John 13. They'll hurry up and go by John 13 and 1. And see, when the Christian cults just go by it, we don't do that. We stop and look at the verse, and that is what's tearing them down. So we go back to John 1 and 10. John 1 and verse 10. He was in the world. What world was he in? Israel. Because he only came to Israel. This is why we say, when you see verses like this, man, you got to think. But these verses don't correspond to Christianity's deception like this. When it says, for the Son of Man is come to save that which is lost. He has come to save that which is lost. Save that which is lost is not everybody. Save that which is lost. Christ came to save that which is lost, which would be Israel. Even in Romans 9, Romans 9. Verse 3 and 4. We're going to read down to verse 5. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites. Wait a minute, let's go back. Who are Israelites? I'm sorry about that. Wrong screen came up. Who are Israelites? So again, Paul's brethren and his kinsmen, according to the flesh, were Israelites. To whom pertaineth the adoption, the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of God, and the promises, whose are the fathers, and of whom concerning the flesh Christ came, who is over all God blessed forever. Amen. Christ came for the fathers. Christ came for the fathers. Israel. He came for Israel. He was sent for Israel. But the Christian cults, hold a minute. John 1. Verse 10. Now we know Christ came to save that which is lost. Came for Israel. We see this. He came. But watch. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. Who knew him not? The rulers. Didn't say everybody didn't know him. The rulers didn't know him. But there were some in the world that did accept him. So watch this. John 17. John 17. John 17, verse 11. It says, and now I am no more in the world, but these are in the world. And I come to thee. I'm about to come to you, Father. Holy Father, keep through thine own name those whom thou hast given me, that they may be one as we are. So there was some out of the world that were given to him. Christ had those that were given to him out of that world. So don't try to act like the whole world of Israel, all nations just knew him not. No. Again, cults try to fool you. They try to fool you. So there were, but these are in the world. I come unto thee. This is what we're saying. He has given, but these that are in the world, and I come to thee, keep through thine own name those whom thou hast given me. So there were some out of the world, not the whole world that hated him, some that came out. That's who he loved in John 13 and 1. Precept must be upon precept. So going back to John, we're going to kind of John 1. Tales of a cult, brothers and sisters. We're going to read verse 10 and move on down. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. We know who knew him not. The rulers, the Pharisees, Sadducees. He came unto his own. We just read it. The Son of Man has come to save that which is lost. Matthew 18:11. Romans 9:5, as the promise that was concerning pertaining to the fathers, as concerning the flesh, Christ came. He came unto Israel. But see, it says he came into his own, and his own received him not. Now, Christian cults again. His own received him not. It's funny. We could shut the book there. He came into his own, and his own received him not. But according to Luke, wait a minute now. We don't this. According to Luke chapter 8. According to Luke chapter 8, verse 39. Return to thine own house, and show how great things God hath done unto thee. And he went his way and published throughout the whole city how great things the Messiah had done unto him. And it came to pass that when the Messiah was returned, the people gladly received him. Hold on now. And it came to pass that when the Messiah was returned, the people gladly received him, for they were all waiting for him. And behold, there came a man named Jairus, or I would say Jairus. I don't know what I said that for. And he was of a ruler. So when you see and behold, now remember, it says, and it came to pass that when the Messiah returned, the people, you're going to find out who these people are, gladly received him, for they were all waiting for him. And behold, there came a man named Jairus, and he was a ruler of the synagogue. Who was in the synagogue? The Jews. And fell down at the Messiah's feet and besought him that he would come to his house, because he had a daughter that needed to be healed. Well, we're not going to go into that. We can see, and remember, John 18. We put it back behind. We don't want you to get the thought. We're coming back behind you. Make sure you don't forget. John 18:20. The Messiah answered them, I spake openly to the world. I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple, whether the Jews always resort. And in secret I have said nothing. The only ones that were in the synagogue were the Jews. I ever taught in the synagogue and in the temple were the Jews. So the only ones that were in the synagogue were the Jews. Whether the synagogue was in this land, that land, this land, that land, the only ones that were in the synagogue were Jews. So we go back to Luke 8. Luke 8. Luke 8. Verse 40. And it came to pass that when the Messiah was returned, the people gladly received him, for they were all waiting for him. And behold, there came a man named Jairus, and he was ruler of the synagogue. This is a Jew. And he fell down at the Messiah's feet and besought him that he would come into his house. So the ruler of the synagogue was a Jew. So Jews received him. They received him. What's going on? The Bible says his own received him not, but we have verses saying that they received him. Luke 8:40 and 41 proves that Jews received Christ. But a cult would avoid this. Cults avoid to try to make up a doctrine. Christianity is a cult because they avoid this. Jews accepted him. And it came to pass that when the Messiah returned, the people were the Jews, gladly received him, for they were all waiting for him. It's going to tell you, and and behold, there came a man from the people named Jairus, and he was ruler of the city. That's a Jew. Accepted Christ. Received him. It's proof they received him. But a cult, they just move it out the way. It doesn't matter. That's what a cult does. They call us a cult. Well, it's verses in the Bible that you avoid. That's what cults do. Why? Because a cult, a relatively large group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others, the Hebrews, as strange or sinister. It's mighty strange that they don't see Luke 8:40 and 41 showing that the Jews received him. Why won't they show you this? Luke 8:40 and 41. Why? Cult. Watch this. John chapter 4. John chapter 4. John chapter 4, verse 44. For the Messiah himself testified that a prophet hath no honor in his own country. Then when he was come to Galilee, the Galileans received him. Now, look at that. Mighty funny. The Galileans received him. Let's go to Luke 4. Because Christians will say, well, those Galileans were Gentiles. No, he never went to the Gentiles. He didn't go. That's why the Bible says, no, I'm not going to do it. I'll just say John 7:35. Whether will he go, we will not find him. Will he go unto the dispersed? Christ did never. No, he sent the apostles to them. That's why it says in Luke 4. I want to make sure you guys understand this now. Make sure you understand this. And he said unto them, I must preach the kingdom of God in other cities also. For therefore I am sent. Other cities, watch this. I am sent. Where did he go? In other cities, where did he go? Because it says I am sent in other cities. And he preached in the synagogues of Galilee. Synagogues. Who was in those synagogues? Jews. So synagogues were in Galilee, which means Jews were in Galilee. Don't play the game. Christ was a Jew from Galilee. No need to play in the games now. No need of playing the game. Because this is how they do it. Synagogues, Galilee. So going back to John 4. They try to make you think, oh, it's talking about the other nations. No, it didn't. There were synagogues, Jews in Galilee. And they were the Galileans. Lying Christians. That's all they do is lie. Because they're not. No. John 4:45. Then when he was come into Galilee, the Galileans received him. These Galileans had synagogues in Galilee, which were Jews. It's telling you again, the Galileans received him. Christ is being received by Jews. Read them and weep. And when he was coming to Galilee, the Galileans received him, saying, received him, having seen all the things that he had did at Jerusalem, at the feast. For they also went unto the feast. And the only ones that went to the feast were the Jews. That was it. The only ones that went to the feast were the Jews. We're looking at chapter and verse where Jews accepted him. That was his own. Jews received him. That was his own. John 4:45. Then when he was coming to Galilee, the Galileans received him, having seen all the things that he did at Jerusalem at the feast. For they also went unto the feast. Jews received Christ. They received him. Come on, man. They received Christ. Jews, his own, received him. But who didn't receive him? Who was the ones that didn't receive him? Mark 8. See, Christian cults, they don't want to accept verses, and they make others not want to accept them. Do you know how many times, brothers and sisters, we'll read these verses and they look over it? Oh, well, they got that verse. Well, let me bring mine. When did it become verse against verse? You ignore a verse. If you watch our programs, I never ignore. I don't ignore. I go to the hard verses. I go to the verses other Israelite camps won't even go to. I'll go to them. Mark 8:31. And he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected, not received. Rejected is the opposite of received. Rejected is the opposite of received, and be rejected of the elders and of the chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. So this is who rejected him, like it says in Acts 13:27. He was rejected of the chief priests, elders, and scribes. Not everybody. Jews received Christ, but the elders, again, and he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected, not received, of the elders and of the chief priests and of the scribes. That's who rejected him. That's who did not receive him. The elders, chief priests, and scribes are his own. The elders, chief priests, and scribes are another nation. They're his own people. And be killed, and after 3 days rise again. It's showing you this. Luke 9. It's the details. Don't tell me they're that lazy, but they are. Again, we're going to look at Luke, saying the Son of Man must suffer many things and be rejected, not received, of the elders and chief priests and scribes, and be slain and be raised the third day. That's who rejected him. That's who knew him not. The powers of Israel. Not all of them. John 1. John 1. Only a cult would avoid verses to deceive. That's why, again, the bottom definition, a relatively large group of people having religious beliefs and practices regarded by others as strange. Wait a minute. It's strange that you would come to this verse. He came into his own, and his own received him not, and then shut off every other verses or every other verse that would discredit this, because they're obviously using this verse to deceive. The Bible shows Luke 8:40 and 41, John 4:45, Jews receiving their Messiah. But the chief priests, scribes, and Pharisees rejected him. They didn't receive him. They knew him not. He came into his own, but his own received him not. But as many as received him, as many as received him, back to Luke. Luke 8. Luke 8. Luke 8. And it came to pass that when the Messiah was returned, the people gladly received him, for they were all waiting for him. And behold, there came a man named Jairus. He was a ruler of the synagogue. That's a Jew. The Bible shows that Jews received the Messiah. Right here, received him. There it is. Received. Received him. Jews. But the powers did not. Right here, John. Watch John chapter 4. John 4. John 4. Verse 44. Then when he was come into Galilee, who was in Galilee? Jews. The Galileans received him, having seen all the things that he did at Jerusalem at the feast. Because the only ones that went to the feast were the Jews. For they also went unto the feast. The Galileans were the Jews. Received him. Sorry about that. Received him. Jews received their Messiah. It's written. The Christians won't even take this into consideration. They'll be like, oh, I never saw that. That's why. That's why it says in Hebrews. See, brothers and sisters, you want to know who the lake of fire is for? It's for Christians. It is. That's why. Watch this. They see. If I show a Christian this, oh, he's got it. I'm not going to go up. Let's go somewhere else. No. It says here that the Galileans, which were Jews, received him. Right? Again, that's why Hebrews 10:26 says, if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation which shall devour the adversaries. Those that continue sinning. And one of the sins that you're going to see, brothers and sisters, now is rejecting what the Holy Spirit wrote. The Holy Spirit wrote through everybody. Every verse must be considered to make proper doctrine. But if the Christians are avoiding the proper way and just saying, okay, well, this is what we believe, that's a cult. That's why Christianity is the religion of doom. It clearly says in John 4. John 4. Clearly. John 4. We got you tied to the rope, Christians. Tied to the rope. Then when he was come into Galilee, the Galileans received him, having seen all the things that he did at Jerusalem, at the feast, because only Jews went to the feast. For they also went unto the feast. Those that went to the feast were Galileans, Jews that were from Galilee. They received him. Kind of funny how y'all don't want to open this up. So we see his people receiving him. That's why it says in John 1, we don't know how this became other nations. Well, we do because the cult's teaching them. It says, but as many as received him. From who? From who? From who? From the if Christ never appeared to all nations, how can all nations be the many? What? See, but as many. Luke 2. Luke 2. Luke 2. Watch this. Explain this. Let me stand up for a second. that was showing forth this very, 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 I would say in a proper way. Luke 2:34. And Simon blessed them and said unto Mary his mother, Behold, this child is set for the fall and rising again of many in Israel. He was only set for the fall and rising of many in Israel, for a sign which shall be spoken against. Look. The rise and fall of many in Israel. Didn't say as many as the nation. See, y'all gotta look at that. Many in Israel. Many in Israel. Not many of the nations. Many from any place. Many in Israel. So we go back to John 1. John 1. The child was already set for the fall and rising again of many in Israel, not the nation. So John 1. Many in Israel. But as many, now the many is the nations? No. As received him. You just saw in Luke 8:40-41. John 4:45. Jews receiving him. That many is not anybody. But the Christians say, yeah, it is. They avoid it. It has been explained to them. But they still avoid it. Oh, no, that's not right. That's a cult. But as many, the many would be in Israel anyway, because he was only sent for Israel. It had to be from Israel because he was only sent. But as many as received him from Israel, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name. Adoption. Adoption. The power to become the son of God is the adoption. Adoption. That's the power to become the sons of God. Adoption. And I can't believe this. Romans 9. Only a cult. That's why we can understand, brothers and sisters, who the cult is. Christianity is a cult. Back to Romans 9:3. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants. Stop. I'm reading on. Why am I reading on? Did it on purpose. I had to stop myself. Who are Israelites, who pertaineth the adoption, the power to become the son of God is to Israel. There's your adoption. The adoption is the power to become the son of God. It's only to Israel. And the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of God and the promises. Now, the adoption. The adoption. Adoption. Pertains to Israel. Didn't say it once. It says it again. Galatians 4:4. Here we go. Yes, sir. Galatians 4. Verse 4. But when the fullness of time was come, God sent forth his son, made of a woman, made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law. 1 Corinthians 9:20 showed you who was who. That's the only verse that shows it. Israel was under the law. Predominantly Jews at this time. That we that were under the law might receive the adoptions of sons, not anybody from any nation that believes on Jesus. No. To redeem them that were under the law. Christianity was not under the law. Islam was not under the law. Hinduism was not under the law. Those religions are not, don't even know what they're talking about. The only ones that were under the law is who you read. Go by what you read. And if they can't produce what you read, you can see the code. The adoption of sons, the power to become sons of God, went to those that were under the law, which was proven in 1 Corinthians 9 and 20 to be Israel, predominantly Jews at the time of Paul, because they were the only ones under the law. And again, I want to go back and read it because it feels so good when you read the Bible. Yes, sir. I love it. And unto the Jews I became as a Jew, that I might gain the Jews. To them that are under the law. You see that? There it is. We got a verse that tells you who's under the law. They don't. They want you to believe anybody. They want you to believe all was under the law. No. To them that are under the law, as under the law, that I might gain them that are under the law. That's why he says in the next verse, we know this is talking about northern kingdom, to them that are without law. Those that were without law was the other nations with northern kingdom among them. See, when you see this to them that without law, let me show you something. Without law, right? That's in the book of 2 Chronicles. See, that's why if we done a debate like 15 minutes to 15 minutes, the Christians will be destroyed. So they came up with these lies. They came up with these lies. Do I want to go there? No. 2 Chronicles 15 and 1. And the Spirit of God came upon Azariah, the son of Oded. And when he went out to meet Asa, he said unto him, Hear ye me, Asa, and all Judah and Benjamin. The Lord is with you while ye be with him. And if ye seek him, he will be found of you. But if ye forsake him, he will forsake you. Now watch this. Now for a long season, Israel has been without the true God, and without a teaching priest, and without law. See, Israel, let me put that back on the screen. Israel without law. See, when Paul says those that are without law, he's talking about those Israelites that were without law. How is it that Israel now, without the true God, without a teaching priest, and without law, how does that happen? When you are scattered among other nations, worshiping their gods. That's why. Common sense. So without Israel could be without law too if they're scattered in other nations. That's who Paul was talking about in 1 Corinthians 9:21. Those that are without law with those other nations, because the other nations don't have law. The only ones that were under the law was who you read. So when we go back, let's go back to the book of Galatians. Galatians chapter 4. Verse 4, but when the fullness of time was come, God sent forth his son, made of a woman made under the law, to redeem them that were under the law. You read it. Only one nation. That we that were under the law might receive the adoption of sons. This is the second time, the second witness that shows you that those that are going to be adopted will be Israel. Two verses that prove it. Who had power to become the sons of God was the adoption. And right here, those that were under the law were Israelites, Jews predominantly, the only ones proven that we might receive the adoption of sons, not the nations, not anybody from any nation that believes on Jesus. No. The adoption pertaineth to Israel, Romans 9, verse 4. And right here, we're going to show you again the book of Ephesians. The book of Ephesians chapter 1. Verse 4. According as he hath chosen us in him before the foundation of the world. Watch this. That we should be holy and without blame before him in love. Yes, sir. The true Israelites. Stand up, brothers and sisters. We all have our days of feeling bad, but got to keep going. Having predestinated us. Stop. Who is the predestinated us? Having predestinated us. Having predestinated us. Pay attention. Having predestinated. Who were predestined? Because the us is who the letter is to. See, he's writing to everybody. No, he's not. Who did he predestine? The book of Romans 11. The book of Romans 11, verse 1. Again, I say then, hath God cast away his people? God forbid, for I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Ha! So his people was Israel here. Has God cast away his people? All people was not his people. All people were not his people. In the New Testament, they weren't. For I also am an Israelite. So the Israelite is his people. Watch this. God hath not cast away his people, which he foreknew. Whoa. Ye not what it says, what the scripture saith of Elias, how he maketh intercession to God against Israel, saying, now that's back in 1 Kings. I think 18 and 19. Because I got to go over that. Been a while since I've been over that. I mean years. But God hath not cast away his people, which he foreknew. So God foreknew Israel. God foreknew Israel and Israel alone. God knew Israel. God knew Israel. We can prove that alone. Amos 3 and 1, hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for your iniquities. Everything I wrote as a punishment to you, especially in Leviticus 26. The punishment came for the sin. It was already written. But God only knew Israel. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. So when Paul says, whom he foreknew, here it is. This is how we know he knew only Israel. So who he foreknew was Israel. So let's go back to Romans. Make sure we get this. Romans 11. Romans 11 starts out powerful. I say then, have God cast away his people? God forbid, for I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. God hath not cast away his people which he foreknew. So he has not cast away his people which he foreknew. Foreknew. Now, Romans 8, verse 28, Paul writes again, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose, or who are the called according to his purpose. For whom he did foreknow, which is Israel, he also did predestinate. The predestinated would be Israel. That's all. He didn't predestinate all nations. He predestinated who he foreknew, and that was Israel. When it says, for whom he did foreknow, which is Israel, he also did predestinate, meaning Israel was the predestined from the beginning. No one else is the predestined but Israel. No one else is the predestined. That's why he says, for whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate to be comforted to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Moreover, whom he did predestinate, which is Israel, them he also called. So Israel's the call. And whom he called, them he also justified. Israel's the justified. And whom he justified, them he also glorified. So, and whom he justified, them he also glorified. So the predestined are the called, the justified, and the glorified, not the nations. The predestined is Israel. That's the predestined. That's why when we go back to Ephesians 1, Ephesians 1, verse 1, Paul, an apostle of the Messiah Christ by the will of God, to the saints. That's who the letter is to, the saints of the children of Israel. Psalms 148:14. Psalms 50 and 5. Deuteronomy 33, 1 through 3. We can prove this all day. The saints of the children of Israel. Acts 9:13. Over and over. That's who the letters to, the saints which are at Ephesus, not all the people, and to the faithful which are the Jews in the Messiah Christ. So we go down to verse 5. When it says, having predestinated us unto the adoption of children, the us were the saints, which was Israel. That's why it says, having predestinated us, the saints, the children of Israel, unto the adoption of children, unto the adoption of children by the Messiah Christ to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. Predestined us was Israel. This lets you know that when it says, when we tell you that the saints are the children of Israel in verse 1, we know it because they were the predestined. God only predestinated who he foreknew. So having predestinated us, the us were the saints unto the adoption of children by the Messiah Christ to himself. So those that would get into the adoption were the predestined. Once again, the third verse that says Israel is the adoption or the adopted for the adoption. 3 verses. The power to become the sons of God only belonged to Israel. You're reading it. Precepts. Precepts. The adoption only belongs to Israel, no matter where you go. But a cult. See, but a cult but as many as received him would be from anybody, from any nation that believes on Jesus. No. We read those that received him was from his own. Gave he power to become the sons of God. Who had the power to become the sons of God in the adoption? Only Israel. 3 verses to prove it. Even to them, the them is those that received him out of Judea, that believed on his name. That's what we're saying. A cult would try to change the narrative of the Bible and make it look like all nations fit there. It doesn't. That's why, again, when we go back in the cult, it says a relatively large group. I'm not going to read small. They try to fool you with that small group. Christianity is a large group of people having religious beliefs or practices. Easter, Christmas, baby day, dog day, cat day, bird day, tree day, rock day, grass day, dirt day. Any day but the feast. Regarded by others, which is the true Hebrews, as strange or sinister. Oh, it is very sinister for you to include everybody in a verse you can't prove with other verses. That's sinister. That's cultish, cult-like Christianity. It is proven that that's the cult. The number one cult is Christianity because of their beliefs, their theology that causes them to, that causes our people to believe in things that are not there. They try to make our people believe, oh, this means everybody. No, cannot be proven. When you read down, let me show you how the Christians read this. Let me show you how the Christians read this. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. So what does that mean? You won't know because they just keep reading. He came into his own, and his own received him not. You won't know if what, But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name. Now they start talking. See, he gave power to God. No, you don't do that. You have to know who the world was that knew him not, that he was with. You have to know when it says he came into his own and his own received him not. You have to prove that everybody didn't receive him. We prove that Jews did. So you're a liar there. But as many as, but as many as received him, as many as received him, who would that many come from? Who would that many come from? Luke 2. Luke 2, verse 34. And Simon blessed them and said unto Mary his mother, Behold, this child is set for the fall and rising again of many in Israel, because that's who he was sent for. Many in Israel. That's the many that would believe in him. It would come from his own people. It would come from his own people. We're not getting what these Christians are talking, but that's how you avoid it. The many would be from who he came to. He didn't go to nobody else. But his own. And see, it gets us when we look into the book of John, chapter 8. We wonder, what are we seeing here? What are we seeing here? John 8, verse 31. Let's go to verse 29. And he that sent me is with me. The Father hath not left me alone, for I do always those things that please him. And he spake these words. Many believed on him. Okay, many believed on him. Now, the next verse is going to tell you who the many are. The next verse is going to tell you who the many are. Then said to those Jews which believed on him, If ye continue in my word, then ye are my disciples indeed. So the many that believed on him were the Jews. But the Christian avoids it. They avoid it. Why? Why do the Christians avoid it? Why? Doesn't that make you think, nope, not the Christians, because it's John 2:23. Now when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover and the feast day, many believed in his name. And when they saw the miracles which he had did, the many would be who? The only ones that came to the feast were the Jews. The Bible is telling you they believed on Christ. The Jews believed on him. You're not going to believe on someone you don't receive. You're not going to believe in anybody you're not receiving. If you don't, if plain and simple. But these Christians, though, they, half of them, we know. This is the first time I'm going to show this. You Negro Christians that believe in Esau's theology, because that's what it is. When I tell you, brothers and sisters, that's what it is, that's what it is. All he has to do is say it and they'll believe it. And like I said before, and I'll say again, this guy here This is an example. This is a clear example of idol worship. He is the epitome of it. He looks exactly like the guy. Philip Anthony Mitchell. This man here is a coon. I'm talking about he directly respects the person of Esau. This is the example of James 2:9. These ministers are the biggest sinners. They're the biggest sinners of all. These Negro pastors. Knowing you don't have the. These are supposed to be the learned men, but they are afraid of the streets. As they call us, the street preacher, the Hebrew Israelites. They're afraid because put 15 minutes here, 15 minutes here, we will maul over all these pastors. None of them have no credential in our hearts, in our spirit. They're weak. And they see physical life past spiritual. These are the men that would take physical life past spiritual. They've done it. They've worshipped their God. The Jews believed on him. You don't believe on somebody you're not receiving. Just plain and simple. John 11:44. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound about with a napkin. The Messiah said unto them, loose him and let him go. Let him go. Talk about Lazarus now. And many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the things which the Messiah did, believed on him. The Jews believed on him. You're not going to believe on somebody you haven't received. It continues to say the Jews believed on him. The Jews believed on him. The Jews believed on him. Not anybody. John 12:11. 10, let's see. But the chief priests consulted that they might put Lazarus also to death, because that by reason of him many of who? Many of the Jews went away and believed on the Messiah. You're not going to believe on anybody you're not receiving. This lets you know that the Christian church, the Sunday Christian church, is a CULT, cult, because they come up with verses to deceive. Sinister, strange. These are the things Christianity comes up with. Do you see? Many of the Jews went away and believed on the Messiah. No way you're going to skip all this, but they do. That's what cults do. Cults will not accept chapter and verse. They make up their own thing. There's no way you're going to sit up here and tell me that you fit in this, Christians. You don't. You have nothing to do with the salvation of Israel. But as many as received him. From who? Oh, well, it was in the future. You can receive him in the No. He came into his own. It didn't say the disciples. It didn't say nowhere. It's right here. Plain English. He came into his own and his own received him not. So it would be he that had to come to his own. But as many as received him of his own, to them gave he power to become the sons of God. That's the adoption. Even to them, the them is the many that received him, that believe on his name. And who believed on him? Who believed on him? Remember, believed on his name. So who believed on him? As many of them that believed on his name. Who believed on him? John 8:31. Then said the Messiah to those Jews which believed on him. The only ones that could believe on him is who saw him. The Jews believed on him. The Jews believed on him, not nations. Read it right, but the cults. John 11:45. Then many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the things which the Messiah did believed on him. So you're seeing Jews believed on him, believed on him. John 12:11. Because that by reason of him, many of the Jews went away and believed on him, the Messiah. See? I was about to say that name. I'm glad I cut the Messiah. They believed on him. That's who believed on him, his people. That's the many that will believe on him. But the cult would associate this verse with anybody from any nation that believes in Jesus. And that's cultish. These are the things cults do. Cults do that. They are there to deceive. Christianity is the biggest cult. And you see the reason why. It's for deception. And our people are in it because our people are lazy. This Christianity was designed to create the weakest of the weak. The weakest of the weak. That's what it was. That's what it was made for. Song and dance, no Bibles, just listen to the pastor. That is the specialty of Christianity. And with that, brothers and sisters, all praises to the Most High. May your Sabbath be more restful than mine has been, because the rest is in the law. So, if you get a chance to watch the videos you haven't watched, brothers and sisters, I would watch them. And I'm going to issue this out as I would issue. Be careful, brothers and sisters, because a lot of my videos aren't getting to my subscribers. Because what YouTube likes to do is YouTube likes to send out your videos in places to see how it does. And when they do that, they send it out. And you're going to have some people that complain about the video. And that's what we've been seeing. We're seeing that you'll never know, but they complain about the video. That's why YouTube channels go up and down when it comes to the gospel, because they know that when you hit the nail on the head, you do. You do just that. Hit the nail on the head. And it makes Christianity look like a cult. Foolish. So, brothers and sisters, we don't know when that time is going to come, but you're going to have to download these videos because we don't know what YouTube is going to do. And this is our greatest strength. YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok is a small group's way to get the word out. It's not going to mean anything when they're not going to do anything to these false pastors' sermons. They're going to let them stay on. These ignorant pastors, as long as you do this, you'll always have a YouTube channel. But when you start speaking of the true Christ, when you start talking of Revelation 1, 14, 15, Daniel 10, verse 5 and 6, Ezekiel 1:7, Ezekiel 1:13, when you start showing the color of the heavenly beings, being as you, and these Caucasians see that, they begin to catch feelings. And that's what's going on. But anyway, brothers and sisters, may your rest be glorious. All hail to the true children of Israel. You, I, the sons and daughters of God. May he be with us. All praises, brothers and sisters.